Hello everyone, and welcome back to Nothing But Net, where we talk all things and everything basketball. I'm Rhythm.
I'm Cole.
I'm Kyan.
And I'm Dan. And before we talk about what we're going to talk about today, I just want to say something real quickly. Today's date is January 15th, 2024. And when we started this podcast, it was October 2022. So we have been doing this for over a year and a couple months at this point. So that feels great. I just want to say thank you to all the people who've been listening on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Instagram, TikTok, every single platform. Thank you, and we will have more episodes to come. Now, back to the NBA. So, a couple weeks ago, RJ Barrett and Immanuel Quickley were traded to the Toronto Raptors for OG Anunoby. And so far, the New York Knicks they went on a 5-game win streak. They've been great with OG Anynoby. He fits great into Tom Thibodeau's system. And RJ Barrett and Immanuel Quickley look like breakout stars for the reloading Raptors. So today we're going to be doing something a little bit different, and we are going to be talking about some win-win trades that have previously happened in NBA history. So before we do that, let's just continue talking about the Barrett for Anunoby trade. So does anybody have any specific opinions on that trade?
I think it was good for both sides. Obviously, Toronto now has a base to build off of with Barrett, who has been doing really well, and also Immanuel Quickley. And also now New York is pretty much in contention for a title if they make like maybe one or two more moves for more bench depth. Obviously, after losing Barrett and Quickley, yeah, good trade.
And also, when you said like they are one piece away from big contenders, when the Donovan Mitchell trade talks were happening to New York, the Knicks didn't want to give up Barrett, so they signed him to a SuperMax contract. Now that they've traded that SuperMax contract, they have so much salary cap that's off the books, and they can go out and sign a Donovan Mitchell, maybe, or any other free agent who would be willing to come to New York, and that could be that one piece away.
Yeah, but Donovan Mitchell's contract isn't up for a long time.
2 years, not that bad.
Yeah, but if they want to be contenders now, then they would have to make moves this offseason instead of waiting or make a trade this offseason.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, if LeBron doesn't pick up his player option, he's a free agent, but he's not going to go to New York, so it's just an idea. But also, OG Anunoby has fit so well into Tom Thibodeau's system as a coach, and I knew that his defense was going to be good, but I didn't know that I suspected that it could be maybe like not a lot of people watch the Toronto Raptors, so they think he's a good defender when he's really not. But now he's in the mainstream market of a New York Knick. He's great. He fits in with Jalen Brunson, with Julius Randle. He spaces the floor, and he's doing well in Tom Thibodeau's system. So that's a great trade for both teams. Danny, you have anything else to say?
I agree. I agree with what you and Cole are saying. I don't know what else I can say about this topic.
Yeah. And I love the RJ Barrett, Immanuel Quickley, Scotty Barnes core to move the forward, and Grady Dick also, I forgot about him, and whoever they get back for Pascal Siakam. So I'm excited for the Raptors' future, but now let's move on to our own segment where we talk about previous win-win trades from NBA history. Let's go. How about Danny? You want to start?
Yeah, sure. So I'll be talking about the 2018 trade, which is Indiana Pacers trading Paul George to OKC for Domantas Sabonis. A lot of people thought that this trade was not a win-win trade because even though both teams didn't see much success, OKC they traded Paul George, their star player, for their franchise player currently Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and the Pacers traded Sabonis for their current franchise player Tyrese.
Yeah. I mean, that's actually, it turned out well for both teams because, like you said, they traded both of these players for their franchise players. But also, like Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis turned into all-stars for the Pacers. And they took the LeBron James Cavaliers, who ran the Eastern Conference for 4 straight seasons. They took that team to a Game 7. They unfortunately lost, but you take LeBron James to a Game 7, that's how you know you're a good team. And then also, yes, the OKC Russ, Paul George, sure, you could say it didn't work because the Dame shot sent them home. Still, you have to acknowledge Paul George was top 3 in MVP and top 3 in Defensive Player of the Year in 2019. So that, especially coming off of his injury that he had early on in his career, the fact that what amazing things that he was able to do in OKC. Yes, neither team's got much playoff success from then, but we have to acknowledge what the players did, and I think that's great. So now, after we talk about that, I have a trade. I have actually 2 trades that could be considered as win-win trades, and I think the first one is pretty obvious to all of us as the biggest win-win trade of the modern era, and that's Haliburton for Sabonis.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure this is pretty self-explanatory to everyone, but Tyrese Haliburton has been their franchise player. He's an all-star starter, arguably the best point guard in the East this year, and he's their franchise player. The Pacers have a nice future. The Kings have Sabonis. The Fox and Sabonis duo has been great. They're both All-NBA last year, and like the Beam, they made the playoffs, and they're going to be contenders for years to come. So,
of course, but in my opinion, I feel like in the moment, the Sabonis trade, I feel like the Kings would have won. But in the future, I feel like Tyrese is going to do a lot more for the Pacers.
Yeah.
Considering that he might be a future MVP candidate. He's averaging 24 points. He's just doing so well, especially this season. I just feel like there's a lot of good things coming from him.
Yeah. I can definitely see that opinion. Yeah.
Also, tagging along with what you said, I think this is also considered a win-win trade because the Kings haven't been to the playoffs in 16 years. And once the Kings got Sabonis, who is one of the NBA's most reliable interior scorers, they made the playoffs and they were contenders.
Exactly, yeah. And I feel like also going off of Kaya's point where he said Tyrese is going to be better for longer, Tyrese's game doesn't really revolve on athleticism.
Exactly.
Well, yes, Sabonis' game doesn't rely on athleticism also, but we can kind of see as he gets older, we can kind of see his decline. I mean, he's still an all-NBA type player, but we can definitely see the decline from last season to this season to not a huge decline, but just like a slight decline. So
yeah,
Tyrese is going to be, the Pacers are going to be very good for years to come.
Yeah, and also not to like put the Kings down, but Sabonis, he's a great player, but he's missing a lot of aspects that a good big should have.
Exactly, yes. But to contrast that point, we're, other than Embiid and Giannis, we are kind of moving on to a new era of the game with stretch bigs. And like, look at Jokic. Sabonis is baby Jokic, because we're like looking at these point bigs. Like, Sabonis runs the offense for the Kings. The real point guard of the Sacramento Kings is not De'Aaron Fox, it's Domantas Sabonis, right? And I feel like we're like, he's the great modern day big. Sure, 20 years ago he might not have been, but he's a great modern day big, so yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I was also gonna say that the way that the Kings dealt with the trade, like they had 2 like really good point guards that weren't gonna be able to like be self-sufficient for themselves. So essentially they had to at least get rid of one. And even though they probably shouldn't have drafted Haliburton, it kind of worked out because they were able to obviously get Sabonis and get the big that they really needed.
But just walk with me for a second. Imagine, I know that these conversation always like pisses me off when I see it on Twitter, right? But imagine a Haliburton Sabonis duo. The pick and roll, the pick and pops.
Yeah.
The pick and fades.
And like the great passer that Haliburton is, I feel like that'd work really well with the Kings offense.
Yeah. But to play devil's advocate to my own point, the trade for Haliburton for Sabonis was not Haliburton for Sabonis. It was Tyrese Haliburton, Buddy Hield, Tristan Thompson, whatever, for Sabonis, a pick, and Malik Monk. Because Malik Monk would not have signed in Sacramento if Tyrese Haliburton was the point guard.
Yeah.
He only signed in Sacramento because De'Aaron Fox was our point guard. And we can all say this.
That turned out amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Danny's one of Malik Monk's biggest fans, right? You want to say some things about him?
Just seeing him in the playoffs, like all those fast breaks he did, I think that's what made him my favorite player. Because I love how his play style is. He's running up and down the court, and he's always trying to get a shot in.
And you can see the passion.
And he's so good at finishing as well.
Yeah, he plays so aggressive, and it works. Like, it's great. And Mike Brown and everything. We're not gonna glaze the Kings too much in this episode, but like, still, the trade has been a great win-win.